Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. And note, Bookmap Discord has a wide variety of content, asset classes, stocks, options, futures, crypto, and also on a wide variety of languages. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is at Doug Pless. And yesterday evening, I did post on Twitter an NVIDIA setup that I talked about yesterday, NVIDIA long. And if you're active on X or Twitter, please take a look. If you like what you see, give me a like and a follow. Here are the key tenets to my approach to trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. First of all, I believe options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES is a derivative of SPX. So when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the Nasdaq 100, NDX is the underlying index, QQQ is the ETF version of that index, and NQ is a derivative of NDX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow on Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I'll be focusing on an underlying asset. For example, for the S&P 500, setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat at YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. Excuse me. Here's my agenda for today, Friday, March 8th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review my some setups from earlier today, and then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. Hello, Don. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, news items for today. Of course, the big event economic data release for the week was the jobs report, and that came in greater than expected, and also greater than the revised previous number. Then the unemployment rate came in greater than expected, also greater than the previous number, so higher. All right, let's take a look at the market reaction to that. So this is the ES futures in Bookmap, currently breaking to new lows. So this is the 8:30 a.m. unemployment data. Wrong tool. Right here, this is the reaction to the jobs report. Bullish reaction. And move a little bit, move lower, and then we'll talk more about this in a few minutes, what the ES, SPX, and S&P 500 is doing. All right, so that was the reaction to the data today. Initially bullish. All right, that's a Spotgamma alert. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. Hello, Mark using trading price and time. Afternoon. Good afternoon to you. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so as I said before, this is the ES futures in Bookmap, currently breaking to new lows. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to take a look at the SPX. That's the underlying index. So I'm going to go to a one-day chart. This isn't think or swim. So the current rally began last year, October 30th, and SPX rallied up, the last time I looked, about 1,080 points from low to high. During this year, SPX, the call wall, has moved up from 4,800 to 5,200. That's the current location that's shown on this chart. So that was a one-day chart. Now we're going to take a look at the upper end of that range for the rally. There's that trend line that I was just talking about. Current high, SPX made a high today, 51.89. I'll talk more about the call wall in just a minute. All right, so let me point out the daily levels on this chart, First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. That's based on the options market. I update that once a week. That's based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. And then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price from yesterday. I post those numbers in Bookmap Discord and the Options-Doug chat channel every evening. And quite a move today, almost from the upper daily expected move now down to the lower daily expected move. All right, so those are the expected moves. Again, I post both those numbers in the Options-Doug chat channel the evening before. All right, the other lines on this chart are Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels that are provided to Spotgamma subscribers, available on a wide variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the put wall. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma. That can be expected to act as support. The next level up is 5,000. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. So that's where most of the gamma weighted open interest is concentrated. Then above that is the volatility trigger VT. That's at 5,095. And then a Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with the price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. On the other hand, above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. So note that SPX is still trading above its volatility trigger. Also, gamma notional was positive to begin the day. All right, so above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve again is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And then the final level, key daily level, is the call wall at 5,200. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. It looked like earlier today that SPX was heading up toward that level before that sharp reversal lower. All right, so those are the key daily levels. Let's wrap up our view of SPX by now looking at a 1-minute chart, just so we get an idea of the levels in play for today. All right, so this dark shaded portion is the regular trading hours for today. All right, so it looks like now SPX has broken down below its lower daily expected move. Again, the volatility trigger at 5,095 is still down below. And earlier today, it looked like SPX was going to make it up to the upper daily expected move, upper weekly expected move just above that, and then the call wall just above that. But that sharp reversal somewhere between 10 and 10:30, as we'll see in a minute what I think was moving the market, options traders. So again, SPX now reversed lower on its way up to those levels above, now down below the lower daily expected move, and also this 5150 that has acted as resistance earlier. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. In Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. There's that 5150 level that I was just talking about. So that's SPX 5150. That was noted as a support level in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. You can't see it here, but this white line is SPX 5188. And that was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And that was about resistance for the day. This cluster of levels, the SPY 518, that 5188 in the upper daily expected move, acting as resistance. So again, I have SPX levels on this chart. I also have SPY levels. The yellow numbers just showing SPY round number levels. Here's the SPY 515 absolute gamma strike call wall. And then I also have key levels for ES. There's the 5150 level, upper weekly expected move, upper daily expected move. Note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX, and that offset today is actually over 4 now. This morning when I was looking at it, it was closer to 3.5. So that's what I'm using. So I'm showing SPX 5150 at 5153.5, ES 5153.5, and it should actually be 5154, and maybe even higher, maybe 4.5. I would say 4. So the ES to SPX offset is 4. All right, shifts and levels for SPX, there were none. And then for SPY, the put wall shifted lower, and the absolute gamma strike shifted higher to 515 that I just mentioned. And note that I do post all the index relationships that I'm using in Discord. I post the preliminary numbers around 9 a.m. and then the final numbers around 10 a.m. Also note that these, let's talk about ES to SPX. That difference will converge down to 0 or close to 0 at the options rollover, the March, June, September, and December. And this is the last day that I will be using the March contract, the H contract. So on Monday, I'll roll over to June. And that difference, that ES to SPX offset, will widen out quite a bit. It could be up close to 50 points. So I'll talk about that on Monday. All right, so for today, though, that offset is about 4 points. All right, so I mentioned before this cluster of levels up above acting as resistance. 518, 51.88, upper daily expected move. Earlier today, the 515 SPY 515 acted as support. And now the S&P 500 is down to the SPY 511 volatility trigger, and that's also just above the SPX 5115 support level. That was noted as support in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. All right, we'll talk more about setups in a few minutes. I mentioned shifts and levels, just minor shifts for SPY. All right, let's move on to Nasdaq. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. Pretty similar chart. Initial bullish reaction to the jobs report. Reversal between 10 and 10:30. And now making new lows of the day. So before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at the underlying index charts. Here's QQQ. All right, earlier today, this 445 level acted as support. And that is that's not one of the key daily levels, but that is a gamma level. Around 418, 448, acting as resistance. And now QQQ down at this combo level. And note that 440 is the absolute gamma strike. All right, for QQQ, there was actually a bullish hat trick for levels, shift higher in levels. The volatility trigger, put wall, and call wall all shifted higher from yesterday. That is bullish hat trick, and the call wall shifted up to 450. The only level that remained from yesterday was the 440 absolute gamma strike. All right, we'll get to that. Sorry about that sound. That is alerts for Spotgamma Hero. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. All right, so that is the levels for QQQ. Quite a range today. Let's take a quick look at NDX. And for NDX, there was also a bullish hat trick. Volatility trigger, put wall, and absolute gamma strike all shifted higher. So this is the 18,000 absolute gamma strike for NDX. Looks like it may be acting as support so far. Let me zoom in just a little bit. So this is about a day and a half worth of data. So a pretty spectacular reverse lower for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. And note, this is the upper daily expected move for NQ, also acting as resistance. I also have my cloud notes here for Nasdaq. So I'm showing key numbers for Nasdaq. The red numbers are the zeros in the 50s for NQ. Quite a move lower. So far, right around 400 points lower. From the upper daily expected move, now down below the lower daily expected move. Also the lower weekly expected move. There's that 18,000 absolute gamma strike. Huge move lower for Nasdaq. Sometimes the options market gets ahead of the actual market. And again, we'll talk about setups in a few minutes. All right, let's take a look. Let's wrap up positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional, and then we'll take a look at the Vana model. That is something important to take a look at today. All right, so this is gamma notional, market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500, Nasdaq, Russell 2000. Note all these numbers are positive. That indicates at the beginning of the day, market maker's position on the gamma curve was positive. In a positive gamma environment, this indicates that traders are, for an index, traders are short calls, market makers are long calls, hence the positive gamma, and they have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And for SPX and NDX, the numbers shifted lower, and for SPY and QQQ, the numbers shifted higher compared to yesterday. All right, let's take a look now at the Vana model. This is definitely in play for today and gives us an idea of how market makers may be reacting to changes in price and applied volatility. What this chart is showing is market makers' delta notion of their delta exposure on the vertical axis, the spot price for SPX on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first curve, the light gray curve, shows how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price and price only. Then the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price and applied volatility. And the purple curve is the one we want to take a look at. All right, so let's take a look at our SPX chart again. So SPX trading right around 41.19 right now, lows of the day. Let's find that on this chart, 51.19, somewhere around here. All right, so as price has been falling, market makers' delta notional has been increasing. So their delta notional increases. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. So this is enhancing or increasing the volatility when market makers are trading with price. And let's just take a quick look at a chart for VIX. This is a multi-day chart. Let's take a look at today. So VIX has been moving up pretty much from the open, even as price was moving up for about a half an hour after the cash open. All right, so VIX is up pretty substantially, about 7% today so far. So we know that starting around 10 a.m., 10 to 10:30, price was falling, implied volatility increasing, market makers' delta notional was increasing. They want to remain delta neutral, so they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so that is setting up our positional analysis for today. So just based on the gamma notional, I was looking for moderate volatility today, and the Vana model is showing as price has been dropping, VIX increasing, that volatility is definitely increasing during the day. And just based on the shifts in levels, I was pretty much neutral for the S&P 500 and initially bullish for the Nasdaq based on the hat tricks, bullish hat tricks for NDX and QQQ. All right, let me check for questions. Hello, GSAL. Wonder if you read YouTube chat messages. I do read them live, but I do not, generally do not go back and look at previous chat in YouTube. So if you want something that's more persistent, join us in the Options-Doug chat channel and Bookmap Discord. And SK Serif asks, can you please analyze Nifty 50? Sorry, I don't know what Nifty 50 is. Here's what I follow. ES futures, Nasdaq futures, and then large cap tech stocks. The Magnificent Seven and a few other stocks. Nifty 50, SK says Nifty 50 is an Indian index. Sorry, I do not, but there is an Indian a trading room for Indian speakers, or an India trading room in Discord, Bookmap Discord. Sorry, that was hard to spit out. So again, if you want more about the Nifty 50, just join us in Bookmap Discord, and there's a trading room and also a webinar for the Indian stock market. All right, so G-Sal was asking about Bookmap Basics. Well, first of all, I suggest for Bookmap Basics, you go to the bookmap.com website, go to the Learning Center. You can get started there. There are a number of videos, and then also join Bruce. He is the Director of Education at Bookmap, and his webinar is Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. And he goes over the basics. So my focus, as I said in my introduction, is really focused on options and a more advanced use of Bookmap and Spotgamma. All right, so SK, if you want to use Bookmap for scalping, I suggest Bruce's webinar as well. And I do talk about trading, but all forms of day trading, but I look at a larger time frame. All right, let's move on. Let's start with some setups now. All right, so everything that we've looked at so far, this Vana model, gamma notional, the levels on the charts, that's based on static data that's updated once a day, sometime overnight. Spotgamma takes open interest data and they apply their proprietary algorithms to that data to come up with the information that we were just looking at, that I use for my planning and positional analysis. Now let's move on to execution. We'll look at real-time data. I'm going to start by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. So this is the HIRO signal, HIRO, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. What this chart is showing is options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. The white line on this chart is showing price for SPX, and the purple line is the HIRO signal. A rising purple line, rising HIRO signal, indicates traders are taking positive delta positions. They're buying calls and or selling puts, and a falling HIRO signal indicates traders are taking negative delta positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. And this number here to the right, that is the total delta notional for the day, and that is quite negative. At let me see what this, at the low of the day, that was right around minus 9 billion. That may be the lowest number I've ever seen. Very, very negative. All right, let's zoom in on this chart. We'll take a look at a setup. All right, the key to this chart, this is just a beautiful divergence setup. Initially, traders were taking positive delta positions, and note how the hero signal shifts lower just around 1010. Price consolidates, and then it took quite a while for it finally to start moving lower. Just a great divergent signal, giving you plenty of time to look for an entry for a short. It just doesn't get any better than this. All right, so let's go to ES, zoom in. Hello, Caesar. Welcome. Glad you're here. And Stephen, thanks a lot for your help in YouTube. Really helping me out, answering those questions. All right, so remember about 1010, traders started taking negative delta positions. Somewhere right in here. And then ES started to make a series of lower highs, and there were more aggressive sellers coming in. That's shown by the volume dots. Green volume dots you see on the way up here, those are indicating there are more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. Those are market orders, aggressive buyers and sellers. More aggressive sellers coming in as prices making lower highs and traders are taking negative delta positions. During this time, around 10:30, cumulative volume delta, shown by the dark blue line, starts to make lower highs. Then everything shifts pretty sharply lower just right after 11 a.m. And as price starts to move lower, the yellow line is showing sell stop orders fuel the move lower. Also shown by the on-chart indicator. All right, so great short, phenomenal leading indicator for Hero today. Great divergent signal. Zoom out. Midday consolidation. Then price breaks lower. All the lines in the subchart falling. Again, the yellow line is stop orders, sell stop orders fueling the move lower. And also note the light blue line, that's showing iceberg orders. Often and that's what large traders use to hide their size. Often they will be moving in the opposite direction of price, and today they are moving in the same direction. Cumulative volume delta falling, sell stop orders fueling the move lower, as well as large traders with sell iceberg orders they're using to hide their size. Very, very bearish day, as options traders are also taking negative delta positions. Let's go back to Hero. I'm going to switch to puts and calls, and I'm going to have to jump to another signal and then jump back to avoid the auto zoom. All right, so these now I've separated out puts and calls. The orange line is showing calls. So initially in the morning, traders were buying calls, And then just right around 10:10, they stopped buying calls, started selling calls. And pretty much from the open, traders were buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line. The direction of these lines is in terms of delta. So a falling blue line indicates traders are buying puts. That's negative delta. And then the falling orange line indicates traders are selling calls. That's also negative delta. So when both the orange line and the blue line are moving in the same direction, that's a very powerful directional indicator. With both moving down, it's difficult for the market to move any direction other than down. So based on everything that I've looked at, we'll talk about in just a few minutes, the S&P 500, the call buyers to sellers were leading the market lower. All right, let's take a look at Nasdaq now. And for the Nasdaq, I like to take a look at this Mag 7 signal. So let me show you what this is. This is another combined signal. This is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. And this has been a very good indicator for the Nasdaq. These stocks make up a very large component of the Nasdaq 100 and lead the Nasdaq 100 and somewhat the S&P 500 up and down. All right, so initially in the morning, traders were buying calls. That abruptly stopped at 10:30, and they started selling calls. They were also selling puts, then abruptly shifted at 10:30. They started buying puts. Again, orange line, blue line moving in the same direction. All right, RS, I was just going over that. RS asked, can I explain those lines? All right, the white line is the price, and that's actually the price for QQQ. That's shown here, price for QQQ. And then the orange line, rising orange line, indicates traders are buying calls. And that combined signal for the Mag 7 stocks. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. That abruptly shifted at 10:30. Traders started selling calls. That's shown by the falling orange line. The blue line is showing puts. Rising, these are in terms of delta. Rising blue line indicates traders are selling puts, and a falling blue line indicates traders are buying puts. So again, that shifted right around 10:30. All right, let's go take a look at Nasdaq and Bookmap. So this is the upper daily expected move for NQ. That dashed blue line, that's what acted as resistance. That's where the Nasdaq turned lower. Let's zoom in. And it'll take me a minute to adjust this chart. There's so much range in the previous view. Oops, sorry about that. All right, we'll leave it there. All right, so let's take a look at the volume dots first. Green volume dots, more buyers than sellers, aggressive buyers on the way up. Aggressive sellers start to come in as NQ approaches the upper daily expected move, and then NQ starts to make a series of lower highs. More aggressive sellers coming in, shown by the magenta volume dots. Cumulative volume delta shifts lower, shown by the dark blue line, and as price starts to move lower, sell stop orders help to fuel the move lower. as traders were taking negative delta positions in the Mag 7 stocks. All right, we'll just zoom all the way out. And unlike the ES, it now looks like large traders are attempting to fade this move lower with iceberg orders they're using to hide their size again. The rising light blue line indicates large traders are buying with buy iceberg orders. All right, so RS says you can configure sound output levels for different applications. Sorry, I'm not sure how to use that. All right, if the alerts are an annoyance, I can turn those off. All right, let's take a look at some stocks now. All right, the first stock I want to take a look at is Apple. Apple bucking the trend today. So let's go to Hero. Take a look at Apple. Call buyers definitely driving price higher in Apple. Note the flow alert that came in just around 9:45. Rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls. And when traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls. And they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. And note that Apple is now trading above its 172.50 call wall. Haven't seen that in quite a while. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap and Apple. So 172.50. It's not shown on this chart, but 172.50 is the call wall. It's right here, this liquidity. Apple made it up to that level, reversed lower, and now is moving higher. Note the rising cumulative volume delta, a lot of aggressive buyers in buying Apple. All right, the next is AMD. And the recent daily range for AMD has been quite large. There was a time where AMD moved maybe 2 or 3 points a day, and now you can see it is quite large. Huge run up in the morning, and then just a spectacular reversal right at 10:30 with the Mag 7 stocks. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go to AMD. Aggressive call buyers in the morning. Note 210 is the call wall key gamma strike, and put wall just below that at 207.50. So again, traders buying calls right around 10:30. That shifts. They start selling calls, start buying puts. Blue line, orange line moving in the same direction, and price moves lower. All right, let's check the 210 level and the 207.50 level. So there's the 210 level. Call wall and put wall, somewhere between these two levels at 207.50. So AMD did trade below its put wall earlier today. All right, the next, Meta. adjust the volume dots just a little bit. All right, for Meta, 520 is the call wall. Price breached that level briefly. This is very typical for Meta. Well, let's just take a look at Hero. Let's go to Meta. This is very typical for Meta. Aggressive call buyers at the open. Note the flow alert that comes in. Looks like around 935. 500 is the key gamma strike. 520 the call wall. Price breaches that call wall level. Call buyers take their foot off the gas. 1020, so ahead of the 1030 reversal for the Mag 7 signal. Traders start selling calls. So a little bit of a leading indicator for the Mag 7 stocks as traders start selling calls. Price versus lower. Remember, 500 is the key gamma strike. $500 looks like that may be acting as support. 500 key gamma strike, 520 call wall, reversal at that level, and price moves all the way down 20 points to the 500 key gamma strike. Also note the liquidity that stacks up at these levels. Typically for stocks, this liquidity shown by the heat map and Bookmap. The darker bands indicate there are more orders in the order book. So the heat map showing history of the limit orders in the order book. Typically for a stock, the limit orders, high price stock like Meta, limit orders will stack up at the zeros and the fives. And for stock also, they typically stay in the order book from around the cash open until they're filled. Sell orders up above price here at 520. They were consumed. Price moves lower down to the 500 level, and consuming orders, buy orders at that level. All right, let's take a look at NVIDIA. All right, NVIDIA looks like I over-adjusted my levels. Sorry, I haven't looked at NVIDIA since this morning. All right, NVIDIA 1000 is the call wall. So NVIDIA looked like it was trying to get up there this morning. Let me turn off this absorption indicator so we can just look at price action. So lots of liquidity, lots of sell orders here at the 975 level. Looks like NVIDIA did not quite make it up there. All right, let's go take a look at Hero. So note, before we do that, the cumulative volume delta starting around 1030 dropping. You can see the shift in the volume dots. Aggressive buyers on the way up, aggressive sellers on the way down, shown by the large magenta volume dots. All right, let's go to Hero. Take a look at NVIDIA. And this is I pointed this out many times. The NVIDIA signal is often leading or identical almost to the Mag 7. So NVIDIA leads Mag 7, leads Nasdaq. Aggressive call buyers on the way up until 10:30. Start selling calls. Start buying puts. Note the flow alert that came in just a few minutes after the cash open. So now blue line, orange line moving in the same direction. Price moves lower. Looks like they may be taking their foot off the gas a little bit, and NVIDIA is consolidating. 845 is the put wall. Price is not down there yet. 900 is the key gamma strike. All right, let's take a look at the alerts. All right, so this is the alert that just came in for IWM. And it looks like these alerts come off this list pretty quickly. So I'm looking at alerts just for the stocks on my watch list, which are shown here. Let's take a look at IWM. So this flow alert coming in, signaling significant options activity. So it looks like there's some call buyers coming into IWM. I do not have IWM in Bookmap. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, so it looks like the hero signal for the S&P 500 may be turning higher. So now they've started buying calls and selling puts. Check Mag 7. All right, so as I mentioned before, looks like some consolidation here. They've taken the foot off the gas. Now it looks like this price for QQQ is starting to rise. All right, WRB wants to take a look at Tesla. Oh, Caesar wants to take a look at Broadcom. Let's take a look at that first. I do not have Broadcom in Bookmap. We can take a look at Hero. All right, so it looks like Broadcom reversed lower right around the 1400 key gamma strike. Flow alert right at the open as traders were selling calls. They've been selling calls. That's really driving price. Notional value negative for the day. Also, they have been buying puts, but the call sellers have been driving price. Looks like the call sellers have taken the foot off the gas. Put buyers also have taken their foot off the gas. Now price is moving a little higher. Yeah, Caesar says that's amazing. Almost no put activity, it seems. This is a call-driven market, pretty much. All right, WRB wants to take a look at Tesla. Let's go take a look at the total signal. I'm going to jump back to Tesla. A little bit choppy hero signal, but definitely negative for the day. Options traders taking negative delta positions in Tesla. And market makers take the opposite side and moving price lower. We can take a look at Tesla in Bookmap. I do have that in Bookmap. Let's go to Tesla. Note the high liquidity at 175. Looks like I need to adjust my lines for Tesla as well. By lines, I'm talking about these over here in the lines on the chart. I use an add-on called price lines. I just will update my spreadsheet and it will show the lines in the current range. A lot of aggressive sellers in Tesla today. Note all the magenta volume dots. Nice pullbacks for shorts. Here to VWAP, the light blue line. Let's go back to Hero. All right, there's no significance to the 175 level. 180 was the key gamma, is the key gamma strike hedge wall. That's 180 here. All right, for the past week, I have shown the trading features in Bookmap, and I have placed several trades. These trades were not meant to be representative of actual trades. I did those just to illustrate the trading features of the trade control panel here in the Bookmap. That was the entire purpose of those trades. I normally don't trade this time of day. Let's go back and take a look at Meta, for example. In this part of the day, say 9:30 to 12, I find a lot more clarity both in the order flow and in the hedging flow. Let's go back to Hero. So that's when I trade. Meta, typical of the market, straight up, straight down. Then this time of day, often the Hero signal will start to flatten out. So a lot more clarity for me when the Hero signal is definitely moving up or moving down. We'll go to the Mag 7. So again, the trades that I put on the last week simply meant to illustrate the trading features in Bookmap and not actual trades that I would take. So I showed how to use the trade control panel for futures and for stocks. And let me just summarize real quickly what you need to trade in Bookmap. It is a trading platform. First of all, you need Bookmap Global Plus. There are two versions of Bookmap that you can use for stocks and futures, Global and Global Plus. If you want to trade within Bookmap, you need Global Plus. You need to subscribe to data. I use Rhythmic data for futures, DXFeed data for stocks. I use the DXFeed bundle. You also need a connection to a broker. Here I've got a trial for Interactive Brokers. I've also tried TradeStation, both for stocks, and then TradeEvade is what I use for futures. And in the trade control panel, you can just control various parameters, whether you want to trade on the chart. And let me start this. Whether you want to trade on the chart, the dome, or both. I like to trade on the chart. And for futures, you can use the cross instrument trading feature. I've been showing how to use the ES chart to trade the micros. You can select the number of contracts. You can set up a bracket with take profit orders and a stop loss order. And then once you place a trade and it's filled, you can adjust your stop and take profit levels on the chart. turn that off. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. Next week, I think we have CPI data coming up, and I'll talk more about that on Monday. All right, everyone, have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks again. Bye.